So we're going to start with a damp cloth. It's best to do this when the forks are still wet, so when the mud's still fresh on them. I'm going to start at the bottom and wipe up. Make sure you get right into the very tops. It's always worth making sure they're completely clean. Nice quick job. A good old rub. Don't worry about the floor. Clean that up later. Okay, so nice and clean. What we're going to do next, we're going to wipe around the top of the seals. You want to be doing this with a slightly damp cloth. Tip that in around the back. Do a little wipe. Make sure that we're clearing out all the muck that's behind these little stanchions here. So we're going to make sure we get right in the back of here, cleaning around the top of these seals. These are the little wiper seals. So get around the back of there. Make sure, give them a little blow. They're as clean as a whistle. We can do the other side as well. Now you can see that we've cleaned off as much of the muck from the top of the wiper seals as we can. What we're going to do is going to apply some grease around the stanchion, and the idea of that is that the muck that's left on top of the seals will stick to the grease and get pushed up to the top. Then we can just wipe that off with a cloth. Right, so a little tub of grease. Try not to get this on your skin because it's not very good for you. I say putting it on my skin. Just daub it all the way around. You want to make sure there's a complete circle all the way around your forks of grease. Do it on both sides. You might as well do both sides at the same time, so you're sticking everything up twice. A little bit of a fiddly job, bit grubby. Like I say, you don't want this stuff on your skin. It's no good for you. You get dermatitis and all sorts of stuff. So wipe it off and wash it off. Now what we've got to do, we've got to pump the forks up and down to make sure that the dirt on these seals gets picked up by the grease. Pumps, and what you'll notice is this little ring of dirt starts to pick up the muck from the seals. Get your finger in there, get a spatula, rub this grease around, make sure that it's coating all of the seal. Right, so give it another couple of pumps, a little bit lower each time. And then once you're happy with it, once you think it's picked up enough dirt, I usually do this about 3 or 4 times. Just get your mucky cloth, wipe the dirt from around the top. Again, wipe it up, away from the seals. Make sure you clean it all off. Same on the other side. Right, so now we've got some very nearly clean stanchions. Hopefully if your cloth's clean you won't end up with bits of sand stuck to it like I have. Now the next step, we're going to pop these springs off. Now what they do is they hold the seal tight to make sure that nothing can get into it. They don't 100%, so they do let a bit of muck in. So what we do, by popping these off, we're going to allow this grease that we've stuck up here to slide into the seal and hopefully pull out a little bit more dirt than we had before. So we just pop both the seals off, both the springs off the seals, and then repeat the step. So springs off, grease on, pump up and down. I'm just going to do one side just so you can see it nice and quickly. Springs off, grease on, pump up and down. Now hopefully what you'll see now is that some of that grease has passed into the seals, picked up the muck and pulled it out. So what we do, same again, wipe upwards, nice lint free cloth, we don't want to be leaving any fluff behind. Right, and then pop the seals back down, put the springs down to the seals and push them around. You might find this a little bit fiddly, so sometimes I use something to poke in there as well, but I seem to have got it this time. All the way around. Okay, so that is basic fork maintenance. Now finally is leaving the forks. Now I leave them dry. I like to have things as dry and clean as possible, just to make sure the sand and grit and muck doesn't stick. On the same reason that we use the grease to pull the muck out of the seals, I feel that it can have the reverse effect and push it in. So I leave my forks dry. But if you are desperate to spray something on them, I'd recommend using a spray like the GT85, something with Teflon in, that leaves a coating behind and make sure they're nice and non-stick. Fantastic. Right, so here's a controversial one. What we've got here is a pair of 888s with the fancy silver nickel chromium coating on them. Very, very slick, very good. I've been very impressed with them in the past. Now maintaining these is a little bit different. Now some people don't like to have their stanchions with these marks on them. If you give it a little rub off, you can see they get these staining. Now this doesn't actually affect performance at all. If you rub your finger up and down here and you can feel if you can actually feel the stains underneath your fingers, then it might be worth giving them a rub down. But I leave them as they are. Once you get going, the seals rub the marks off anyway. But if you're getting really, really desperate and you don't like having them looking like this, what you can use is a light chrome polish, something like a chrome cleaner. You buy it from Halfords or any kind of hardware store. I personally prefer Silvero, like Brasso, but for silver, because it's nice and soft. It's not very abrasive. So if you want to, I'll just show you the effect that has. I'm not going to do my stanchions because I think it ruins it. But if you're desperate, you can have a look. So here's before. Give me 5 minutes. I'll give it a good old rub down. You'll see how clean it comes up. Step 1. Quick rub down with a cloth. Make sure there's no actual mud or grit on there. It usually helps. Now if I actually do polish these down, I tend to take them out of the crown so that I can really get the whole length of them looking pretty. Magic. Step 2, polish. I've got chromium polish, cycle chrome polish from Halfords. Works a dream. So just get a little squeeze on there. I wouldn't recommend using a cloth because you tend to pick up bits of grit, but I'm going to do it anyway. Give it a little rub, little circles, all the way around. Takes a bit of time this, so I won't make you watch. So, nearly there. Just a little bit more of a polish. You can see straight away it has a massive effect. Now I don't think it's very good for them, but it does make them look pretty. As you can see, last but not least, give it a good old polish down with a dry cloth. Now I wouldn't ever recommend using something like turtle wax on these forks because the coating that you leave behind will just get bunged up in the seals, so that's a definite no-no. Now I don't think using a chrome polish is very good for them because I think it strips the coating, but I've got a mate who swears by it and he says that it makes his forks work better, so you can see the effect it has. Anyway, thanks very much.